EXA_League_Racing is now live. Streaming 1 Franc 24, EXA-X3 Round 1 Australia. Let's go new season.
To increase sustainability and efficiency, Formula One engines or power units have been revised numerous times over the decades. Generally, regulations have seen a reduction in cylinders, RPM range and engine size. It wasn't uncommon to see 3.5-litre V12s with unrestricted RPM limits in the later 80s and early 90s, for instance. Want to know more about what you're watching this weekend? Here's a guide to some types of flags you may see in use. The yellow flag indicates a hazard. Double yellow informs drivers to slow down as marshals are working on or near the track. And a red flag immediately stops the race due to...
I've been on mute this whole time, I swear to God. Welcome to EXA Season 8 here at X3 for Round 1 here in Australia. I've just done a whole intro, but I've been on mute the whole time, so gotta love that. I am your commentator, Harrison, also known as Half Lap Harry. Some of you may know me as Saracen JC10. I will be here to take you through... I will be taking you through your evening's action for the next hour and a half here at X3. And hopefully I will be of some entertainment for you. It's always got to go wrong on the first one, hasn't it? It's always got to go wrong on the first one. But yeah, Jamie will be the first car round to set a lap in the Aston Martin as he heads around his out lap now through the final sector and up towards the slowest corner on the track.
Let's start the season with a bang.
Let's hopefully start the season with me actually remembering to unmute my mic. As Jamie around for the final corner to commence the very first lap here in Season 8. Down towards Turn 1 we go. Very easy to invalidate on the left there, but he keeps it in bounds. Double DRS detection point, of course, down towards Turn 3. Bit of traffic up ahead, hopefully gets out of the way. Oh, that was cutting it close with the RB. Texas features indeed on. That's another one of the little quirks I have. I have my chat right out to me. Apologies if it gets annoying. Yeah, down the back straights now, another double detection point towards the fast sweeping left and right of turns 9 and 10. Will it be completely flat out for Jamie? Very minimal lift. Very, very minimal lift there. Potentially just a bit of a confidence lift early on here. This is a very tricky, what I believe is turn 12. Past the curb of death on the right, you don't want to be touching that. And once again through to the slowest corner on this Albert Park circuit. Down towards the line then. What's the time going to be for Jamie? The first time set here this season. So 1:15.902 is the time to beat. Who will be next on their lap? Let's have a look. ADS is invalidated, so we will go to the next car along. I believe there was a Mercedes span there. P2 will be the next car up to the line, across the timing beam. Can he beat Jamie's benchmark? Not quite, goes P2 with a 116.1. Martin Linky goes up to P3 with a 117.0. Tiny bit off the pace there. That Alpine is still stuck there. What on earth is going on? Well, there's one of the highlights of the season already. A car that's glitched into nothingness. But we'll move swiftly on. As Epic goes P1 in the Williams with 115.7, 2/10 clear of Jamie. Dylan, interestingly, has done his lap on the mediums. Not sure what the logic is here. This is a short qualifying session after all. But he is currently on a 116.5 as they go past the... Pardon me, they go past the alien car, it seems. I believe there's a Williams coming up to the line now. If I can get to it fast enough. With White Josh starting his lap. Next up will be a Red Bull, if I can cycle through fast enough. Of ADS on his second lap now, unless the in lap that he validated, he goes up to P7, 117.1, potentially looking to find a bit more pace in his second run. Go and find the Mercedes of Nick then, as he approaches the fast left-right of turn 9 and 10. He's not flat out. Lifting 2 downshifts for the Mercedes, so perhaps suggesting that he may be on a lower wing setup than some of his compatriots. Obviously good for straight line speed, not so good for high speed corners like 9 and 10. Yeah, lifting through, I believe, turn 13 as well there. The Mercedes rounds the final corner. Very easy to lose the back end there, I found. If you're not careful, as he goes up the line, a 116.9. Still just under half the field to set a time. That Alpine is still stuck there on the track. As White Josh comes across the line, goes P4 with 116.3 here in X3. All the threes there tonight. I just realised he didn't go P3. I thought he went P3. Some of these drivers now coming out for their second runs, including Rio, it seems, who's currently 3.5 tenths up. Going to put him in and around about battle for P4 as it stands through the first sector split. He's an awful lot of ERS, I must say, as we're only just coming up to the 910 chicane now. Keeps it valid. Down towards turn 12. Obviously we profiled in recent years with the renovations done to Albert Park. A lot of the corners opened up. Flows a lot more nicely now, I think. It's very much less stop-starty. Makes the lap a lot more enjoyable. Hopefully DJ Williams can actually move his Alpine off of the racing line, because I don't know what he's going to do before. Also on a 16.1. A couple of these drivers very close to each other now. McLaren pits. I believe Nick is on his second run. So we'll watch the Mercedes through the first complex. Very easy to lose it on the outside curve if you're not careful. Do it Sebastian Vettel style, if you guys remember. For a couple of years ago, the Red Bull stays out of the way nicely there. With a very quick right-hander onto the back straights. That's one of my favourite corners on this track. It's so much better now they've opened it up. I don't know what you guys think of it, but... Chef's kiss is all I can say. It's an absolutely lovely corner. As Nick is now nearly 4 tenths up on his time, which puts him in and around Dylan Hummel in P6, but he needs to find a bit more through this final sector. I'm sure we'll see a few of the top drivers completely flat out through that corner there. Although you can't really touch the inside curb, otherwise you will be spun and spat straight into the gravel on the outside. As Nick improves his time by nearly 4 tenths, but still not enough to elevate his position. Maintained P7. We will find Chaz is invalidated. BRT Knight coming towards the end of his, that big lock up into the penultimate corner. May have gotten away with it though with the physics on this game. Up towards the line. Goes up to P8 on a 116.5. There's 3 drivers now on a 116.5. All conglomerating together, just as I like to see. Love to see close racing here. Love to see the pole position go less than a tenth, as that was very squirrely there from Owen. Through the fast right. It's an absolute age here from the exit of the last corner towards the line. One of the longer runs though, if not the longest run to the line out of any corner. Apologies there, I was interrupted. Has Chaz gone on a valid lap yet? Yes, he has. We will follow the Ferrari through the 910 chicane. Very easy to invalidate, very easy to spin out of there if you are not careful. If you get the line right, you should be fine, but such a high-speed section, such an easy place to have a snap, and a snap at those speeds, you're in real trouble. As Epic goes well over 3/10 clear of Dylan Hummel up into P1. I'd imagine some of these drivers will be going for 2 runs, some of them will be going for 3. Depends if they're looking to save tyres for the race. As a standard, you get 3 sets of soft tyres given to you. That Alpine is still on the racing line. 3 sets of soft tyres given to you. You can choose to use as many or as little as you want. You get a free set at the end if we're doing a full qualifying session, but we're not here, so we'll stick with the 3. And if you use 2 of them, you have 1 brand new set ready for the race, in case of any late race safety cars or wherever you want to do with your strategy. But if you use all 3, can be beneficial to your qualifying position, so about finding a real balance. There's a yellow in sector 3, I believe a Williams has been off on the exit of turn 11. As now Billy exits turn 10. I'm sure they have actual corner names, but I'm not going to try and blag it. I don't know them. Now I know they're named after world champions. Very nearly flat through there. So I'm expecting a good time here from Billy. Appears to be one of the more confident drivers here in Albert Park. Comes up towards the line, he saves some ERS. Goes up to P13 only. So maybe there was a mistake elsewhere in that lap. Appeared very confident through the final sector. I know, 116.9 for now. We will swap to the Alpine of Marcel, who I believe is on an in-lap actually, so we'll go back to the McLaren of Ellen, currently just over 3/10 up. 5 minutes to go in this qualifying session, he's backed out of the lap. He thinks there's more in it with a new set of tyres. It's a big gamble. It's a big gamble from Ellen, because there's no guarantee that you'll keep your lap valid or that you'll actually improve as much, but clearly he believes, pardon me, that it is worth the risk. Still 3 drivers yet to set a lap time in this session. One of them I believe we will not be seeing, because I don't know what on earth is going on with this Alpine. The clutch in that car is going to be absolutely dead by the end of this one. And honestly, if any of the EXA guys who do any of the graphics are watching, or any of the videos, This would be great in an end of season meme compilation. Just a suggestion. But already in the very first session here in Season 8, a hilarious moment as DJ Williams' car seems to be phasing in and out of existence down at the turn 3 right-hander. We'll swap to Dylan Hummel, who I just saw go by. This will most likely be his third and final run, just over a tenth up. Massive commitment through turn 9 and 10, completely flat out. Hasn't got much ERS left though, I don't think, so we'll have to see how it goes for the McLaren. Minor lock up into turn 11. There you go, completely pinned through turn 12. That's what confidence looks like in a driver. Nicely rotated through 12, out of 13, towards the line. Where will it be for Dylan Hummel? It's not an improvement. Maybe he backed out of the lap, but half a second down from being 1/10 up. I didn't appear to see him back off, so interesting decision there from the McLaren driver if he did indeed back out of the lap. Perhaps doing a recharge and going again, but doesn't appear to have the fuel for it, so that may very well be the end of qualifying for Dylan in the McLaren. Next up to cross the line will be Realm in the Haas. Can he elevate himself from P17? Yes, he can, up to P12, 1:16.7. A lot of these drivers in the midfield getting very, very close now. All going to be within a few tenths, I reckon. A few tenths is going to separate. I thought Billy was about to go round then. He was caught the grass, which just... I've done it myself before. If you catch the grass while you're weaving, you're in real trouble. I believe Dylan's been off the road at the exit of turn 11. And his qualifying session is well and truly over. Who will be the next to cross the line for to begin their final run? I believe it will be the Ferrari or Snoo, currently residing in P5, just over 6.5 tenths off the pole position. Going to take one hell of a lap if he's to challenge Epic, who is 3 tenths clear himself of Dylan, who retires from this, pardon me, short qualifying session here in round 1. We'll follow Snoop round, just about keeps it valid through turn 2. That was right on the white line. Very hard braking zone into turn 3, very easy to lock up. Go past the new landmark here in Australia, which is the Alpine. Honestly, someone needs to update that on Google Maps. Massive commitment through there. There's a lot of corners on this Albert Park circuit. It's very easy to just stray over the white line, and that is your qualifying lap. Curtained well over and done with, in the bin, even if you've had the lap of the century. So crucial here for the drivers to keep their laps valid as Snoop comes up to the second sector split. I think I've missed it, unfortunately, but I haven't noticed any significant mistakes. Doesn't look like he's backed out of the lap, so going on for an improvement maybe, breaking to that top 4 into the 115s. Where can Snoop put that Ferrari up to P2? Brilliant effort. Half a second improvement for the Ferrari driver. The 2 Aston Martins cross the line. BRT Knight goes P4. Can Jamie usurp his teammates? I've already put a statement down for Aston Martin. Yes, he can. Provisional P2, 115.5. Next across the line will be the Ferrari of... Well, we're looking down the menus. Chaz, who goes up to P9. And Nick, who usurps him into P9. Just 4/100 separate the pair. Epic's finishes lap, he couldn't improve. Marcelinki will be the next one to come across the line, and perhaps one of the last ones to come across the line. 2.5 tenths up. Goes into P6, goes ahead of White Josh in the Williams. Clearly Mizu's not improving. Luigi will be the last one then. Only P18 for the kick driver. And if Snoo, I believe, is on his in-lap now, that will be it then for your first qualifying session of EXA Season 8 here in the X3 division. And if this is setting a tone for the rest of the season, we're in for a brilliant campaign. Epic takes pole position from Jamie by just under 0.5 tenth of a second. I was correct. Snoo just behind that, only 100th down. Dylan, unfortunately, not sure what happened there on his final run. But he went from being just over a tenth up at second sector to well over 0.5 second down by the time we reached the end of the lap. BRT Knight then P5, Marcel P6, White Josh P7, Rio P8, Nick P9 and Ellen in the McLaren rounds out your top 10. I will once again point out the funny moment, because I can, of DJ Williams becoming a landmark at turn 4 or turn 3. Like, you can't make it up. It's there as a constant distraction for the drivers, and I wonder if any of them did get distracted by it. This race will indeed be full of ERS management. It will likely be decided by how people manage their ERS. Especially as Australia, I believe, has the single highest amount of DRS zones of any track on the F1 calendar, with 4. Although it only has 2 DRS detection points, one just before the final corner, and one presumably just before the fast right. They're both double detection points. If you get DRS down the first one, doesn't matter whether you made the overtake, or if you've even fallen out of the 1 second window since then. You will still get DRS down the second part of that detection point as such. If I remember correctly, it was very controversial when they brought in the 4th DRS zone. Go straight into it then, 5 lights out and away we go here in Australia. Epic leads away from Jamie. Hopefully he'll make it through cleanly through turn 1, but it's a very likely turn 1 for incidents. I believe there has been a spinner at the back of ADS. As we go down towards turn 2, Jamie down the inside of Epic. Epic will not give this one up. I believe everyone's on mediums. Oh, there's a spinner. I mean, that's Snoo who spun from P3, not the start the Ferrari driver would have wanted. As they come on to the first DRS zone, and there's a retirement already. Owen in the Red Bull has retired from the session. I don't think he's crashed. Not sure what's happened. He may very well have crashed. There may have been an incident, but that's an incredibly unfortunate start to the season for Owen in the Red Bull. We come down to what will be the 4th DRS zone already. A lot of DRS being used by a lot of these drivers here. They're going to get very aggressive off the start. We're already near the end of lap 1 here in Australia. Another yellow, I believe there's a McLaren off in the background of Ellen. That's unfortunate. Started P10, of course. As they round the final corner to complete the end of lap 1. Epic leads from Jamie and Dylan. Few incidents on that first lap, but largely clean. Majority of the drivers starting on mediums. They'll be looking to go potentially to a medium hard strategy if we don't get a safety car. The outliers to that being Realm and Ellen, who are further down the field, starting on hard. They'll be doing the inverse strategy to what the majority are doing. They'll be going from hard to medium, going more aggressive at the end. more conservative now with going for the long hard stint, so watch them as they progress through the pit stop period. DRS of course activated 1 lap after the beginning of the race now. Been like that for a couple seasons if you haven't realised. And I believe we have a 11-man DRS train all the way down to Chaz in P11, who currently occupies that last spot. All still absolutely nose to tail then. Being in a DRS train like this really does have a psychological effect on the driver, because unless you're really second or third in that train, as White Josh sets a new fastest lap, 1:18.6, quickly beaten by Snoo. I believe the pole was a 1:15.4 set by Epic. Yeah, being in a DRS train can have a real psychological effect, because you physically can't go anywhere. Like, we'll ride on board with Rio Harris here as we go towards the first DRS zone. Usually the advantage is DRS. The car ahead doesn't have it, as BRC Knight becomes the first person to pick up a track limits penalty. He definitely will not be the last. But the fact that both cars have the DRS open really kind of nullifies the effect, as maybe Rio can get down the inside here. He can get the run, not quite. Thinks better of it. The yellow exit of the turn 9 10 chicane, I believe that was HXN going round. All too easy to do, of course. Looks like he's got away scot-free with no damage though, and he will now have Ellen to battle with for the foreseeable. But yeah, you can be stuck in this train for 10, 20 laps, and unless you can do anything in the pit stop period, there's not really much you can do. As down the inside, retaking the position goes Jamie. Minor bump there from Dylan for good measure. Running wide there was the Williams of White Josh, who runs Rio Harris slightly off the road. There you go, there's 2 more now that have picked up track limits penalties. We head towards the turn 9 and 10 chicane once again. In the race, of course, it is very much not flat out, especially on a 50% race's worth of fuel and medium tyres. Surprised we don't see more mistakes there more often, quite frankly. It's all too easy to do. Further back in the pack, there's a spinner, I believe. Callig in the kit just had a moment out of turn 11. Don't think he's got any damage, but not a great start then for the kit driver. Holding position there in the top 10. Don't know if there was an incident with contact, whether he's lost it on his own, but Callig now to go into recovery mode then. He's just ahead of his teammate Luigi Sven. We'll head back towards the front now. Jamie in the Aston Martin, attempting to break away from Dylan, but on a circuit with 4 DRS zones, it is incredibly difficult to do so. And there's maybe 1 or 2 sectors separating every DRS zone. Not really enough time to put away a second as BRT Knight. It's not going well. Picks up his second track limit penalty of the afternoon, and we're only on lap 5. Yo, Christo, how you doing? Oh, the Alpine there thought about the move to the inside. Thankfully, he got better of it. There's another yellow. Oh, Realms this time. Realm has had the same fate as HXN going off at the exit of turn 10. But this time he has got front wing damage, and now he's in real trouble. Starting on the hards. You can't go back to a medium really after that. The medium will not take you to the end. There appears to be another incident out in the final corner. It's getting a bit rowdy here now in X3. breaking out of their shells a bit, breaking into this season. The Alfie tries to go around the outside, very nearly gets squeezed out by White Horse, and has that led Epic to have a snifter. I've just realised Epic's down to P6. Not sure what's happened to the Williams driver then. Our pole sitter now down to P6 after residing in P1 for the majority of the opening of this race. Traded it with Jamie and Dylan, but perhaps just had a minor moment somewhere. All that fighting, guess what it means? The top two have broken away. 1.5 seconds back to White Josh. This is their opportunity to put their stamp of authority on this one. If they can pull away, they get to dictate their own strategy a bit more. Don't have to worry about so much about an undercut. Don't have to worry about the freshness of their tyres affecting their position. They can think about their own battle, their own race, their own beginning to this Season 8 championship.
Jamie and Dylan looking really good. Safety car is basically guaranteed though.
Well, we'll see about that, won't we, really? As Alexis, that's a very early stop. Oh, as a front wing change as well. Maybe he was involved in an incident, potentially with Realm. That leaves him with a 22 lap stint on these hard tyres till the end, and I don't know about you. That's a very, very long way to go. We'll see if he can pull it off though. Back to this front battle as Jamie goes right round the outside towards turn 10, pulls off the move cleanly. These two have pulled 1.4 seconds on the fighting quartet of Rio Harris, White Josh, Marcel and Epic. Very closely followed behind by Nick and Snoo, who's had a very good recovery from his lap 1 spin. Billy Mizu currently P9 and BRT Knight rounds out your top 10. Although he does have 2 track limit penalties. Then comes Chaz in the Ferrari, not far behind. Then a 4-second gap back to Luigi Sven and his teammate Callig. And then those who have perhaps been involved in incidents or have indeed pitted in this race of ADS, Ellen, HXN, Realm, Alexis and DJ Williams, who I don't believe is in the session anymore, after becoming the world's first immovable moving car in qualifying. The race has unfortunately ended early for the Alpine driver. Lap 8 here then in the season opener here in X3. And the gap out front, well, not only is it now half a second, but look who's caught up. Rio, White Josh, Marcel, Epic, Nick, Snoo, and all of those behind him have now got in towards that DRS as, oh my goodness me.
Done an amazing job.
Someone needs to give BRT Knight some track limits training. This is his 3rd track limit penalty and we're only 8 laps in. You could have all the pace in the world, but track limits discipline, it can help so much with your finishing position. Especially if there's a safety car towards the end of the race. We'll see what happens tonight towards the end of this one. But that's very much not a good start for the Aston Martin.
All the X1 commentating made him face with tears of joy.
Contrary to him, his teammate Jamie currently out in front, although I don't know for how much longer. As we are about to go onto a double DRS zone. Dylan right up behind him. Perhaps just running wide there. Not sure how many warnings he's on, but just need to keep in mind where he's running over those white lines. Lovely sweeping move around the outside of turn 9. Go back in the train. Will Rio try and go on the outside? Can't quite pull it off. Jamie defends nicely. Lovely helicopter shots here. This is my favourite camera angle. Not like the ones we get off of race starts sometimes, where it's like We're looking for the back of the grid, you can't see anything. But here's an example then of how difficult it is to break the DRS. Jamie and Rio were fighting in the final sector, but they were still only 8 tenths behind, as now we have the first people pitting in this race. Epic and BRT Knight. Go on to the hard tyres. This will be till the end of the race, so a 19 lap stint, so long as we don't get a safety car, of course. There seems to be an omen looming of the eternal safety car, but we'll see if it ever comes to light. More towards the middle of the pack than in the midfield. Things have spread out a bit as a few of the drivers have made their stop in this race. Nick right up behind Snoot. Will he go for the move down to turn 11? I think he's just too far back, unfortunately. Very easy to set up a move here, so long as you can follow in behind the car through some of these high-speed corners. Hey, that makes Nick's life easy, doesn't it? As Snoo, White Josh and Jamie all come into the pits to respond to the stops we saw 1 lap ago by Epic and Knight. What I'll be looking for here, how powerful is the undercut here in Melbourne? Where will Epic and Co come back out? Oh, it's a very difficult pit lane. The Williams collide. The Williams pairing collide. Epic and White Josh collide on pit exit. What a travesty. What a travesty. Epic been on those tyres for 1 lap. His teammate White Josh coming out of the pit lane, and he has fully come across him and very nearly taken him out of the race. He's very lucky to be in this one without any damage. The Williams debrief, that'll be a frosty place to be in after this one. Your top 7 then still to pit. Everyone else has done so. Rio Harris now comes in. Dylan, Marcel, Nick and Chaz all continue on, along with Luigi. So maybe they're trying to go for a tyre offset here. Here's a new element of strategy for you. You can either try and undercut your rival, so you pit before them as Epic sets a new fastest lap. I believe there's a spinner out of the final corner. Not sure who it is. Potentially a Red Bull. You can either try and undercut your rival by stopping before them. Hope that you gain enough on your out lap with your fresh tyres to come out ahead of them when they pit. Alternatively, you can go for what is known as an overcut. Your rival pits first, you stay out longer, and you hope that your warm tyres, or whatever grip you've got left in them, can somehow outset or offset your opponent's brand new tyres. And of course you can go for an even more extreme version of it. You can go for the tyre offset, which I believe some of these guys are going for. You stay out for a lot longer than your rivals, as they both now come into the pits. And you hope that the difference in life between you and your opponent is great enough so that despite the time you've lost, you can still make up the time and make up the positions at the end of the race. As Nick continues on for at least 1 more lap, he will be one of only 2 drivers yet to pit as Jamie sets a new fastest lap. I don't believe a medium soft strategy is possible around here. There's an Aston Martin round on the exit of turn 1. Who is that? Oh, it's Knight. Knight's got front wing damage. It goes from bad to worse for the Aston Martin driver. 3 track limits penalties and now a spin and front wing damage. Hasn't quite been the season opener he would like, safe to say. But I don't believe that a medium-soft strategy is the viable strategy here this afternoon. But there's nothing to say that Nick couldn't try it. I believe that Ellen may try it on the hards. He might try and go hard-soft, try and go much longer and go for a softer compound towards the end. But what you're seeing now is that 10-11 man DRS train we had at the start, through the pit stop period, through all the shenanigans, it has now broken up a bit. As Nick does come into the pits, he will have the freshest tyres towards the end of this one. Another yellow in sector 3.
Slightly smiling face.
Okay. But de facto order resumed then. Up front. Oh, I think it's curtains for night. Just too much damage for the Aston Martin driver. He becomes our second DNF of the season opener. Oh, there's a VSC. There is a virtual safety car has been deployed due to Alexis spinning out of turn 1. We saw BRT Knight do that exactly one lap ago. But maybe Alexis has just gone in a bit harder and triggered that VSC. Her VSC, different to a normal safety car, puts a pause on proceedings as we're now back underway, and what a restart from Jamie. Takes full advantage, sweeps around the outside of Epic, caught him completely napping into the penultimate corner. We've just passed half distance in this one, and we've still got a lot more action to come here. HXN is disconnected as the Williams goes back down the inside. Now, how much do they want to battle here? Because they've already lost a lot of time. Rio has now caught up, so has Snoop. Dylan and Marcel are not far behind, as Snoop picks up another track limit penalty. But there's still 14 laps to go. Go for a stupid move now, or a move that's costs you time. It costs you a lot more than one position. It's towards the final sector we go then, turn 12. Marcel overtakes Dylan in the McLaren. All of these drivers, apart from Ellen, who was going for the very long first stint on those hards, are going to the end on their tyres. Interesting to see whether Ellen goes for mediums at this stop or whether she goes for softs. 13 laps to go. It's very marginal as to whether softs may make it. We'll see what she puts on. Goes for the mediums. So she will be going hell for leather towards the end of this one, as they say. Trying to muscle her way perhaps back up to a top 10. Depends how big the gap is, but glad to see that someone's trying to do something different and it's not just all the same strategy. Spices things up a bit. Once again, the lead changes hands. It's going to be a recurring theme now to the end of this one, I reckon, between these top 4 who have well and truly pulled away from Dylan in P5, gap nearly 3 seconds. He's being followed along very closely, keeping him honest, is Marcel in the Alpine. Nick, who has a tyre life advantage of around 4 laps on those guys ahead. Although 6 seconds is an awfully long gap to make up. P8 is currently White Josh, after being involved in a rather unfortunate incident with a race leader, who also happens to be his teammate at pit exit. Chaz P9 and Billy Mizu rounds out your top 10 as it stands. As far as penalties go, I'll get them up for you quickly. Epic on 3, Snoo on 6. Those are the main ones in your top 10, and then every single driver who's currently in the race below P10 has some sort of penalty, the highest being Calig with 9 seconds. But down the inside, ooh, that got very close between the Alpine and the Ferrari. Minor contact made. No one lost significant time. These two of Epic and Snoo, they need to, as impossible as it may seem, they need to try and break away, because their penalties are just holding them back. Like, Snoo's got 6 seconds, and if I get up the actual leader gap, as he will try and go for the lead, in fact, at turn 3, the actual leader gap, 6.2 seconds, he is currently a net P6. So even though he's P2 on the road, that track limits discipline, I mentioned it earlier, track limits will decide most races. Even if you don't quite have the edge on pace, if you can keep your nose clean in terms of penalties, you've got a great shot at a good position at the end of this one. It's side by side nearly. Whoa. Heating up now. That is not a move you would have seen 10 laps ago. They know how much this win would mean to kick off their season here in X3. Give them that confidence boost. Where is round 2, Rowley? Enlighten me, where are we off to next? Further back in this train, Rio Harris potentially thinking about a move. But when you're in this position in the train, we'll work it out eventually, we'll work it out. When you're sat here in the position that Rio's in, it is so demoralising as a driver. It's so difficult to do anything. The driver ahead of you's got DRS, the driver ahead of them has DRS, and as you'll watch now as you ride on board, you barely gain anything without dumping half of your battery. But it's around about now that drivers like Rio will need to start making progress in this train. Ross and Jeddah next, that's always a fun one. As the AI gets out of the way nicely. But it could take 2, 3, 4 laps per overtake here for Rio, so he really does need to get on with it.
Japan, Austria and Monaco.
Oh, that's going to be a crazy run. Japan's my favourite track personally, so I'm looking forward to that. Back in the here and now, your race leader on track is currently Snoo, followed by Epic, but your net race leader, and the battle you guys who are watching should be focusing on, is between Jamie and Rio. This is your net race lead here. When we apply penalties, obviously pre any steward's decisions. Jamie is currently set to win this one if nothing crazy happens, and I've probably just cursed it, but who doesn't like a bit of jeopardy, eh? As HXN retires in the pit lane, I thought I'd cursed it fully then. When there was just retirement in the pit lane, lock up there from the Aston Martin. Back in the midfield, and White Josh and Nick are doing battle. Can't go side by side through there, unfortunately. One of you will end up in the wall. through the penultimate corner. Massive lockup for Nick. Massive lockup for Nick. That will not help his tyres at all. They are, well, to be fair, they're the newest out of anyone, but he wants to keep that tyre advantage as long as he can before they start deteriorating on him. Chaz becomes the latest driver to pick up a 3-second track limit penalty. I can't even make out what's going on in this train. Is this all the lap car? Is there any lap cars in there, or is this just all the chaos? Jamie's made a move somewhere on Epic. Rio's picked up a penalty. I've missed that. Everything's kicking off here as the race comes to a close here in X3. Jamie now sits very pretty. If I was a betting man, I'd say Jamie's the favourite to win now. A buffer of 2 cars between him and the next penaltyless car. That list shrinking all the time, completely nose to tail. Through the final corner, Dylan on the back of Rio, we're 3 wide. We are 3 wide down to turn 1 here in EXA. You can't go 3 wide through turn 1. I thought they were going to try it in a minute. That would have been a safety car. That would not have ended well. It's down to turn 3. All comes down again. Have they allowed Jamie and Snoo to slip away? I don't know where the detection point is exactly, but Rio MP3 gap of 1.1. Oh, Epic's disconnected. Oh, that's curtains. That's curtains for the Williams driver. He was on for such a good result potentially. Hopefully he can get back in as quickly as possible, but Rio has been dropped as it stands from DRS. And down the inside there goes Dylan. Dylan not waiting around. He is, well, net P2 at the moment, so why should he? He's got to try his best now to try and get back into that DRS. Just heard there in the engine revs, I don't know if I'm speaking over it. Just hear the tyres beginning to break traction. He does have a 2-lap tyre advantage over Jamie. But those tyres are 10 laps old, so maybe just past their best. Past their best before date. Tell you someone else who is on for a great result now as well is Nick. Currently penaltyless. If there wasn't a 9-second gap between the top guys and White Josh, maybe on for a better result, but P6 as it stands. Marcel's on for a current P3, I believe, though, as he is on the back of this top train. Looking to go for a move down the inside of Dylan. Can't quite pull it off. But as it stands, he does need to overtake the McLaren. Can't just sit behind him. This is for position. So we'll see what the Alpine driver can do as we go on to lap 24 then. 6 laps to go, including this one. All of these drivers' heads now firmly in endgame mode. The gloves are well and truly off. All overtakes are on. Hopefully they can keep it clean, but this is where the risks have to be taken. Is Cal G retired? Oh, it's in the pits. Cal G retired. I got excited then, I thought it was a safety car. Jamie goes for the race lead round the outside in his attempt to stamp his authority on this one. Another yellow out of turn 6 and 7. Nothing much came of it though. Once again, Jamie has a two-car buffer over the next penaltyless car. As a driver, it can be very nice knowing that even if you get overtaken, your race lead is still protected, as he doesn't fight Snu there at all. Lets the Ferrari by. He does have 6 seconds of penalty, so even more than Rio behind. But is it on the flip side? It can be all too easy to get carried away. All too easy to get carried away. There's another yellow in the final sector. This is where the mistakes are beginning to creep in now, as I believe Marcel has had a moment in the first sector. He's fallen off the back of his front train. Ellen boxed the fastest lap, try and salvage something from her race. Down the inside into turn 12, the Red Bull goes. Ooh, minor contact made. The Ferrari perhaps just cut across him a bit, and now the McLaren's on the inside as well. Oh, more contact made. And in the space of 2 corners, Rio Harris goes from P2 to P4. Just a bit of game physics there, I think, but they may try and argue against it. 4 laps to go here in Melbourne. Here in EXA X3 round 1, season opener down under. Snu is your overall race lead currently. Jamie is your net race lead, as Snu has track limit penalties. And that 2-car buffer that he once had has evaporated as quickly as it came. And whilst Dylan is not within DRS, it will just be looming in the mirrors. As they both swap over, and miraculously the 2-car buffer is restored. So just ebbing and flowing as they go for the overtakes and re-overtakes. Just missed Billy there, going for the move on White Josh. Don't think he'll quite have the braking ability to go for the re-overtake, but he'll be thinking about trying to set it up now, either down the main straight or towards turn 3, as that got very close on the braking to the back of the Haas. Very nearly tapped the back there of the Toyota sponsoring. Of course, Toyota in real life now having a technical partnership with the Haas outfit. We'll see where that gets them in the coming real life seasons. This top 4 have not broken apart this whole race. Lovely racing from the 4 of them. Hats off to you all. Fortunately, a few drivers in this race maybe need to go and read up on how to stay within a track limit, as Dylan there just has a bit of rear locking. Ellen does get the fastest lap, so at least she'll have that to write home about, even if her race hasn't quite been how she would have liked, as she overtakes around a P13. Once again though, down towards turn 3, down towards the slow complex, where the monument of Alpine will now be erected for qualifying. Through the completely flat out right hander of turn 5. And onto the winding back straights, plural, for the second to last time here in Melbourne. If I'm Dylan now, unfortunately it is just looking like the wind is going to slip through his grasp. As Jamie has that buffer, but for how much longer? Ooh. Thought about 3 wide then, didn't they? There's contact's made! Contact is made! The Ferrari's gone round! Contact was made between the Ferrari and I believe it must have been the Aston Martin. And all of Snoo's progress has been undone. And all of a sudden, that gap that Jamie had, that buffer, well, you can see it with your own eyes, can't you? It's gone. Error 404, car not found. Gone. On to the final lap we go here in Melbourne. Can Dylan do anything to get past the Aston Martin? Look left, look right. Jamie defends the inside. You can't overtake through here. It will have to be on the back straight. How much ERS have they both got? I'm not going to say exact numbers because I know people are watching. This is going to be a thrilling finish here at X3. Jamie does have DRS on Rio. That may be his saving grace as they come up towards turn 9 and 10. Dylan's too far back. But the Aston had to lift. The Aston had to lift. Dumping all of his DRS towards turn 12. Will he be held up by the Red Bull? We'll go on right on board with Dylan. There's a lapped AI car ahead. Towards the penultimate corner we go. Will he go for the dive? Yes, he will. Down the inside. Not quite. Well up towards the line. Has anyone saved the DRS? Dylan gets squirmy out the final corner. It's not going to be quite enough though. Jamie takes the win on the road as it stands pre any stewards investigations. Dylan will take P2, Rio will take P3 despite leading on track. Marcel P4, Snoop P5, Nick P6, Chaz P7, White Josh P8 after colliding with his teammate P9 actually, as Billy Misu takes P8. Luigi Sven will come across the line to take P10. And then they will have to wait for the rest to come across the line. ADS driven a fairly quiet race. Believe he had an incident span at the exit of turn 10. Not quite been able to recover since. Comes up the line to take P11. Ellen will be next across the line. Takes fastest lap, so at least she can take that away from this one. Round P13. And the disconnected car of Epico will be P14. And breathe. I don't think I've ever talked for so long, so much, non-stop, in a very long time.
Enjoyed the cones, man. Not a great debut in EXA for me, but fun still.
Thank you very much, man. It's my debut commentary in EXA, so any criticisms you've got, let me know. But what a race. What a race. What a finish. So nearly Dylan managed to overturn Jamie's advantage, which he'd held for, well, 90% of the race, ever since lap 1.
These cones, mate.
There is the rundown of your final order again.
In the future, raising hands.
From top to tail, you could read it yourself. Race director in case any of the stewards want it. And any of the incidents. My god, there's a lot of track limits. There's so many track limits. But that is all then from me here at X3. Next week we'll be moving on to Jeddah, so make sure to tune in then. I have been Harrison, also known as Half Lap Harry. Adios and goodbye.